Hi guys, if it's Friday, it's Down and Dirty Woodscraft. Stay with me. Hi guys, it's Blackie, and today we're starting the cooking series. I'm going to include it in my Down and Dirty Friday because this is one of those tricks I wanted to pass on with you. Now we're going to take a simple idea, a way to cook eggs. But it's not the eggs that I'm actually trying to pass on to you. It's this technique, because this technique allows you, I think of it as a crossroads. Once you have this simple trick in your cook box, you can then shift in many directions based upon this same idea and technique. Now what we're going to do is we're going to scramble some eggs, but the way we're going to do it and how we're going to infuse those eggs with something is what's going to open up this possibility. Okay? So what you're going to need for this event is you're going to need a skillet or some wide, stable cooking vessel that's not going to be real tippy. Okay? I'm going to be using the PATHFINDER skillet. You will not need the lid, but it will serve as a handy plate, so don't go far with it. I typically carry a little bit of aluminum foil for multiple use. A clean place to lay stuff down on at the camp, a place to transfer the food to once it's coming out of the pan, things like that. You'll need a fork or something with tines on it. Now, yes, you could use a whisk, but that wants to clog up, and you'll see in a little bit why it'll get clogged up. So I recommend something with a fork or something with tines. You could, in a pinch, simply make a dingle stick of something like a chopstick and utilize it. You're going to use a 1 quart freezer bag, a half a stick of butter, and 2 eggs. 2 eggs per 1/3 of a stick of butter. So this is already a nice handy half bar pieces, so I brought it. But so an entire bar of butter will do 6 eggs. Okay. Now what we're going to do is, oh, and you also need your heat source. Okay. Now for my heat source for this, because it's right now 98 degrees, is going to be this TRANGIA little stove that you saw in my earlier one, because it fits really well with that skillet, and it's fast and quick and easy, and I ain't going to build a fire in this kind of heat, guys. It's just not worth the time. Not for something we're going to cook in a matter of minutes. So, you want a very stable base, because I'm going to have the skillet sitting there. I'm going to be doing something with my left hand, and I'm going to be working a whisk-like action with a fork on the right. So the skillet has to be rock solid. Don't let it be any way tippy, or you'll get this thing to sloshing and you doing your motion and it dumps. So you want to be safe. Check and make sure your skillet is rock solid first. Okay? Now, let me get my fire fired up and get my butter melting, and then we're going to talk. Stay with me. Now, put the skillet on there. Make sure it's stable. Now, skillet technique. Don't put the handle toward you. It's too easy to do this. Always put the handle at 90 degrees to you so that it's away from you, and you can reach out here and grab it. And as you're doing stuff here, you're not going to hit that handle and possibly dump food on you. Also, being in a position where you can be back far enough away that should it dump toward you, you can get out of the way. Okay, this is just safety when you're cooking on a fire or anything else. Always position this where if you did have a hazard, you can get away from it. Okay? Now, I like butter for this. And salted butter does not require refrigeration for the short term, like for a weekend. If you get into some sort of container you can seal up tight, I say again, salted butter does not require refrigeration. The salt keeps bacteria and stuff from growing on it, and you're going to cook with it anyway. But I'm not sure on the margarines and stuff like that, but I know butter was, because you're looking, especially in the winter months or something when it's already cool, you can easily carry it. Yep, Blackie, that's a lot of butter. Yes, it is, and there's a reason for that. What we're going to do is we're going to infuse these eggs. Now, those of you that may watch James Townsend's show, a year or so ago he did a video, I believe, called Buttery Eggs, and this is a similar thing. Now, where I originally began seeing this technique was at Rendezvous in Living History. doing reenacting, and this technique started becoming real popular at the events. And what it was is you would take butter or something, we'll get to that in a minute, and you're going to put the eggs in it and whip them into the butter so that you infuse the butter into the egg. It makes it fluffy, it makes it kind of juicy because it's whatever this fluid is, this oil or whatever. Now, can you use just butter? Yes, but you can also use other things. For example, I have seen the eggs cooked this way, where they did olive oil and then whipped the eggs in olive oil, and then those eggs were added into a salad. I've seen where they've taken it and used bacon drippings. This is really big. That's where I was eating it originally, was with bacon dripping. So you'd fry a whole pound of bacon, you'd have just oodles of the drippings left, and you'd whip the eggs into that to fluff them up and infuse a lot of that. Oh, your cardiologist hated it, but it tasted really, really good. Now that's almost ready. Now what I'm going to do is, in my quart bag, I'm going to crack my 2 eggs and put them into the bag, because we're going to use the bag to be a way of introducing the eggs into the hot oil. Roll the lip outward, make it kind of stand out. Crack your egg over here to the side somewhere. That way if you got a bad egg, alright, dump in there. And dump in there. Now, taking the bag, now would be when I'd want to add salt, pepper. I like a lot of pepper with mine, a touch of cayenne pepper, etc. in here. Reach through the bag and you can just simply make a fist and squeeze and make it like you're going to make regular scrambled eggs. Real quick and easy. Now the butter is getting, see all that floating coming to the top? That's what I want. I'm clarifying this. Take it off the heat a second, let it cool off. Now, I want to drop my heat down just a little bit, because that little Trangia is a real cooker. So I'm going to drop my heat down to about right there. Let's see if I can bullseye that just like that. There we go. I'll drop it down just a little bit now. What you've got now, you see the butter's turned darker. That's getting the milk solids to come out of it. That's what we want. We want foamy first. Now putting my pan in position, getting it ready to go, I'm now going to take, and as I drizzle it in, I'm going to whisk just a little bit at a time. So it's going directly in to where I'm whisking. Alright. Keep rolling it. Now that egg is going to cook in that butter, and it's going to absorb that butter. Just like this. Now, suppose I took, and this one, I got more yolk right there I didn't get it. There we go. Now, suppose at this point, what if I had dumped tomatoes, peppers, eggs in that hot butter and fried them, and then at this moment I had added the eggs after that was done and did this? Well, that's a pan omelet. So you've gone from being just fluffy eggs, going it into an omelet. And see how the butter's disappearing? That's because the eggs in them are congealing together. I'm putting all that butter into that egg. Now as you can tell, this is going to be a wet dish. This is going to be something you're not going to pick up and put on a sandwich. You can wrap it up in a tortilla, but it's going to be messy. But it tastes so good. But see, all that butter's gone. Now I'm going to change from using the fork side, using the spoon and the spatula side. Keep rolling. Now, if this was bacon drippings, think how much those eggs are going to taste like bacon. I keep going. This is never going to harden up because there's so much butter in it. It's almost going to be like egg pudding. Now we're almost done. I let it like to there at the end. Now that I've dropped my heat down, just let it sit there a minute. You know, now lightly kind of fried a little bit to firm it up just a touch. Okay, as you can see, now there's hardly any butter left. So these are now buttery eggs, or bacon dripping eggs, or olive oil eggs, or like we did one time, we had cooked these big steaks and there were these big hunks of roast, and they had all this grilled fat. You know, we sliced off our steaks. We held on to that, and the next morning we put this in the pan, heated that up, and rendered out that steak grease, and then we whipped eggs into that. So that's a way of infusing flavor into the eggs. They're very fluffy, very light, and as you can tell, extremely buttery. Your cardiologist is going to hate you. But as you can see, they're not burned, they're not nothing. They hold together and they firmed up now. But all that butter, except for just maybe 2 teaspoons, is trapped in those eggs. This is good, guys. So in conclusion, this is a crossroads technique. By taking it and cooking the eggs in this way, where can you go with this? Well, I put onions, vegetables, whatever in that oil, fry them, and then whip the eggs in on top of it. I've made an omelet. I take this and I fry bacon. I use the bacon drippings to whip into the eggs. So it's bacon in that. I can do multiple ways of, now this can go either way. How about for a savory? All right, I'm going to add egg to something like a burger. Okay, I could simply whip it like this and add it. It's going to drip everywhere, guys. It tastes wonderful, but it's almost like a pudding, you know. And so you can add it to a roll, you know, a rolled up thing like a tortilla. It'd be great for this. It'd also be great to take it and put it into other meal components by adding to it once the eggs have been generated this way. Super simple technique that you can practice at home that it's kind of hard to screw up. And it's one of the techniques I like to start teaching with because it produces something out of the ordinary for flavor and for eating. It also produces something that's kind of hard to screw up because you got to really burn it. As long as you watch your heat, you're going to be fine. And it's going to produce a food that's good and is multitasking where I can divide it into someplace else. So for this first episode of Simple Cooking and for your Down and Dirty Woodscraft Friday, that's today's little lesson in how to make buttery eggs, bacon dripping eggs, oil eggs, infused eggs. Think about any hot oil or equivalent that I can whip into it and turn it into a flavor and something else. That's the idea. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Please leave a like, share, and subscribe for me before you go. Until next time, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.